thank you for joining me for this first edition of Keep It Simple, Make It Plain. In the near future, I hope to bring a series of videos to the Black community addressing various issues of concern. Today, I want to talk about an issue that has come up. It's an issue that has been addressed on YouTube, but I don't think it's been addressed as it pertains to maybe the special circumstances that Black people might find themselves under. I'm specifically talking about being Black and legally armed. As many people know, recently there had been a shooting of a brother by the name of Philando Castile, and he was shot by a police officer who, needless to say, feared for his life. The brother was licensed to carry a concealed weapon, and he was shot apparently while trying to reach for his license. The question of how to deal with the police as an armed person in general does come up on YouTube. Many police officers have put out videos in terms of how to deal in those situations. I don't think they necessarily speak to perhaps the needs of Black people who find themselves licensed to carry a concealed weapon, but also in a situation where they have to deal with the police. Some would probably argue, well, no, it's the same. You just do the same thing regardless and everything will be okay. I just beg to differ. The technique that I use is a technique that I did actually pick up from a police officer. Actually, it was a police lieutenant, and I learned it from him when I was taking my certified pistol instructor's class. There was during a break, he was actually there to get his instructor's license as well, and one of the people asked him, I said, well, how should you deal with the police when stopped? And he gave out the instructions, which I thought was, very nice. And I said, yeah, I could probably work with that because I don't want to be shot by accident. So I want to do whatever is, conducive to not being shot. So he showed me what he did, but I said to myself, well, that doesn't quite work for me as a Black man. But I did use a certain modification, which I want to show you in this video here. So let's look at the video. Okay, so as you can see in the video, let me explain what the modification was. Well, in his, what he had said in the class was that you should have your wallet already out, and the police officer can see both your driver's license and your permit to carry a concealed weapon. And that's okay, but the reason I said it didn't work for me was because as a Black man, I know that anything in my hand can take on ominous proportions. No matter how simple or benign it is, in the hands of a Black man, it could turn into whatever. that's happened. Many times I saw it was a comb. I remember back in the day, it'd be Afro combs, or I thought it was a gun. It was a shiny object. It was, because I guess black people always like shiny guns, so they thought they saw a shiny object and shot the person. So I just felt that it was best not to have anything in my hands. Now, there's some who would look at this and say, well, that's just too much deference to the police. You get stopped and you got to put your hands out like you're some kind of criminal. And I understand. I'm not telling you that this is what you should do. I'm just saying that this is what I do because I am carrying a firearm. And if it's like they say that they're scared to death to do their jobs, that as soon as they get out the car they're frightened, I'm going to show that I have empty hands so that when he comes to the car, at least he knows the hands are empty. And as I showed in the video, there is such a thing as a wallet gun, so anything I have in my hand could be construed as a gun. He said, I thought he had a wallet gun, so I shot him. I feared for my life. So anyway, my point is that you always want to try to be careful in those situations. And again, this is what I do. The second thing is, I'm not going to actually even tell them I have a gun. Now, I know, a lot of law enforcement, they're like, you're not going to do what? Well, the reason I don't want to tell them I have a gun is because I personally do not believe in interjecting a firearm into a situation where a firearm need not be interjected into. It's just that simple. Also, in my state, I am not legally required to inform the police officer, sheriff, deputy, or whatever he happens to be or she, that I'm carrying a concealed weapon. I'm not required to do so by law, and I prefer not to do so because, again, as I said, I don't want to inject a firearm into a situation where a firearm need not be injected. When I travel to different states that have reciprocity with my state, I make it a point to know the laws of that specific state as it pertains to whether or not I need to inform a police officer or deputy or highway patrol person or whatever, whether or not I'm carrying a concealed weapon, and I will comply with the law of that specific state. For example, I often go to North Carolina. I got a lot of people in North Carolina, and I know that that state is a shall inform, shall notify law enforcement if you happen to be carrying a firearm, and they approach you in a professional situation. You're being stopped or for whatever, right? So yeah, you're legally obligated to let them know. But in terms of just volunteering that information, no. Now, keep in mind that if you decide to do that, then it's important that you know what the laws are in your specific state. From what I understand, in Philando Castile State, he was not obligated to let them know at all. I'll let that go at that. He was not obligated. He chose to do so. And the cop panicked. Anyway, so just make sure that, and however you decide to do it, if you do decide that you are legally within your rights not to inform, then make sure your concealment is 110%. That it's not visible anywhere. You may just be exercising basic concealment or ultra deep concealment, but in any event, make sure it's 110%. And also, you can't lie about it. Like for example, in my state, if I'm asked, I am compelled to tell. If you do tell them that you're carrying a concealed weapon, never just say, oh yeah, by the way, I have a gun on me. You have to let them know in a manner that keeps them mentally engaged. For example, how I've had to tell on occasion, I will say something like to this effect. I am legally licensed to carry a concealed weapon, and I am carrying one. How would you like to proceed? See, I not only told them first that I had one, a permit to carry, I also let them know that I'm caring, and then I'm ending with a question: how would you like to proceed? That gives him something that he has to respond to. You have to keep them mentally engaged. Otherwise, all they hear is black man with a gun, and they could just freak out. I know that people might think I'm bashing the cops or whatever. Well, whatever. I mean, recent actions speak for themselves. The issue with the police officer and I think he's a trooper in South Carolina. Yeah, you seen that video. He tells a guy, let me see your license and registration. The guy goes to get his license and registration. God pulls out the gun and just starts shooting him. He said, you lunged into the car, head first. I mean, anyway, actually that'll be the discussion of what goes through the minds of white folks. Sometime will be a discussion for another video, but I'm going to keep it on this one right here. Just talk about how I deal with the stop. You might find that you totally can't use it. You might find some parts of it useful. You might find no parts of it useful. All of it. It's up to you. But again, that's what I do. That's how I deal with a stop. It's not out of over deference or anything to the police officer or anything. It's just trying to cut down on the possibility of there being any confusion that could end up with someone being hurt or maimed or killed. Just try to make that as simple as possible, but no simpler. Peace and be safe.